Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I just got through listening to Kyrie Irving speak, um, and man, I was really happy to hear from him without the scripts, without the guys, without everybody there, just him in his own space to be able to express himself in the way that he felt he wanted to. And I got the clarity that I was hoping to get that the media would never hand me, straight from the horse's mouth. And that's all I would ever want from Kyrie Irving or any of these athletes, because at the end of the day, it is so clear that the big dogs in media really do want us to understand certain things about these athletes that these athletes haven't shown us via their mouths. They don't paint these pictures of themselves. They may do certain things that may look a certain way from afar, and then the media can take it from there. And that's, I get caught up in that. And the more I become a talking head and make videos and listen to my own stuff and see things transpire, the more I realize how much I want to fight against the notion of taking some of that information and incorporating it to what I think is true. You can listen to them, you can be entertained by them, but at the end of the day, it is so very, very important to wait until you hear from the athlete or from whatever the subject would be, because the media really does have their own agenda, and sometimes that agenda isn't even controlled by those entities. They have two people they need to do favors for and be partners with and things of that nature. You just don't know why things are happening, but most importantly, you're not going to know what a person thinks until you hear from them. Now, as for Kyrie Irving, I think he did himself a lot of favors tonight, man. I do. And listening to what he had to say, I think he answered some questions. I think some people who wanted to hear some things from him heard what they needed to hear. Um, they may not walk away with agreeing with how he's handled it, but they definitely will walk away thinking that they know where he's coming from for the first time in this entire process. I personally think Kyrie Irving is being pulled in two different directions after listening to him talk for 23 minutes. I think he's being pulled in two different directions. I do. I think he's being pressured. Now, whether or not he's adhering to that pressure, it's his business, because I know he's his own person. But I do believe, in listening to him talk, that there's one side of him that really, really wants to continue playing basketball and get straight back to it, and there's another side of him that really, really wants to stand on what it is that he's talking about. And it feels like it might be outside pressure kind of pulling him in both directions. Um, that's just my assessment. And again, a lot of times I just come up with stuff. So if it ain't nothing, it ain't nothing. But that's just what I'm vibing off of. And what I would tell him if that were the case, um, is your talent got you this far. You know, your voice is something that we can hear because of the fact that you play ball. That makes your voice relevant. I'm not saying that that's fair or right or anything. I'm just saying that the blessing that you have is giving you that voice, and the ability to play ball is giving you that voice. What I want Kai to do is speak more, because what I heard him say was something that we hadn't heard at all, which was, I said some things in the past that were crazy stupid in the public eye, and I've grown from them. I used to push my opinions on others, and I realized that wasn't the right way. That's the growth that the media has been saying that isn't there. That's what he displayed for me to receive directly from him. And that's what I want from the athletes going forward. Even if you're ignorant, even if you're going to say something offensive, even if it's going to be all kinds of shit, I think the future is direct consumption. The internet can speak to the athlete, and the athlete can speak to the internet. There's no reason for the middleman. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to say we need to do away with ESPN and all these guys, but if they don't change their practices, that's where we're headed, straight up. Because we don't. Why do we need the middleman? Why? Why? If Kyrie can speak directly to me, and I can speak directly to him in regards to our voices, we all speaking to one another. Why would we need ESPN to tell us about anything in regards to our athletes? We don't need that. They have their own platforms. That's why I appreciate seeing Kwame Brown on here. That's why I appreciate All the Smoke, even though they got parent companies. I understand that it's basically the same concept. Athletes can speak for themselves. They don't need guys who are kind of around, who may be listening for gossip and listening for this and doing handshakes. Like, that stuff is bad. We're seeing the whole situation with Goodell and the whole Washington Redskins scandal and all that. It's a prime example of how corrupt that whole system is, and it's going to show us as they start to unveil in these emails and all that stuff, show us exactly how bad it can get when the media and these entities are in coops with one another. And sometimes these players, as they're alluding to us, like Kyrie, Irving, and Kwame Brown have been telling us, sometimes they're the fall guys for that stuff, and we'll never know it because the media will do such a fantastic job of covering that up. And I'm telling you, Kyrie Irving, I said it earlier today, I think that he needs to see more angles, all that other stuff, and he showed me what I needed to hear to understand that people have been, talking to him and helping him see their points of view, and he's been listening to them. That's really all I want from a young person. Are you listening? You ain't gotta have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the older people around you don't have all the answers. But the way society is, they expect that because they have a shining light on you that you're supposed to have those answers. You're supposed to be, because you're in this position to be a role model, you're supposed to be responsible as a role model, but you weren't given the spotlight to be a role model. You were given the spotlight to be an athlete. And that is where the lines have been blurred, but we starting to figure that out right now. So it's like, I appreciate that from Kyrie Irving, and I do. I actually agree with a lot of what he said. I just think what it comes down to is the specifics of our situation make it so that we have to be very, very, very specific in how we move as it pertains to this virus. And that's the only point of view I come from. The weirdness of this entire situation makes it so that forcing people to do this particular thing is very much logical as it pertains to fighting what it is we're dealing with. It messes with our sensibility. It messes with our understanding of how our freedoms are supposed to be handled. It messes with what it is that we have are dealing with in regards to trusting who's given us this vaccine. But unfortunately, the virus makes it so that we have to live in this weird space of trust and letting go of certain types of choices. And that is not fair. But that is what the virus has done to our earth, and we must adapt to that. Or if it's a lie, we need to find a way to get that truth to our people before it gets to a point where we've gone too far. And then we probably already have gone too far. But one thing's for certain, people have been dying. And there's one thing that I cannot shake for all of those who are in a space where they can still actually believe that this thing isn't real, like everybody who's passed away, actors or something like that. I'll never forget the footage that I saw of people in prison who had taken their phones that they had hidden, that they had effectively hidden, and they were broadcasting outside from inside of those prisons, the type of conditions that were taking place with the COVID and all of the suffering that was around. Hey, things can be staged. A lot of people think the moon landing was staged. I don't know nothing, but what I'm saying is I was buying that. That shit looked terrifying. It looked real. Those looked like real people in some real suffering situations. And there was no hope. There was bad conditions, and it just looked like it was getting worse. And that was early on in the pandemic. So at that moment for me, I realized that we were dealing with something that might be out of control of the people who think they control everything. And if that's the case, we had better play the rules the right way. We had better get this right. So while I can see the angle everybody's talking about, because a lot of things can spiral out of control when you start forgoing your choices, when you start forgoing your freedoms, when you start giving people, everything that is who you are. Once you start doing that, a lot of things can go wrong. You might as well just line up for slavery if you let it go too far. But what I'm saying to you is this: we're not in the realms of what we understand. This is unprecedented stuff, and if we want to survive it, we have to play by the rules. And the rules are, at this time, the vaccine is the way to go to keep it from, being in our bodies and et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm not a COVID expert by any stretch of the imagination, but, I am aware that this is something that we can't just reason our way out of, not if it is as it seems. You're not going to be able to logically reason your way out of this. You can't think your way out of this. You can't fist your way out of this. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like putting your fist in the air and saying, I stand my ground. Like the virus doesn't differentiate. We're dealing with a virus. This is not a human being or an entity saying, we're going to take your freedoms. This is a virus saying, I want to survive and overtake your world and basically annihilate the human race. And so if that's what this is, whether it's engineered or not, obviously I don't know what I'm talking about, but if it's something man-made or not, then we need to work with it regardless. We need to work, around it regardless. I don't think this is something we could say, well, because it's some organic entity or because it was made in the lab, we can treat it as if, no. It's out of control either way. That's basically what I'm here to tell you. It's out of control either way. So the vax is what we got today, man. Maybe 5 years from now we'll have something better, but this is what we got. We don't still know what we're dealing with. It's still early on. And look, I'm old enough to remember the AIDS pandemic when it first hit. We didn't know what the hell we were dealing with. People were afraid to play basketball with one another. People was losing their jobs over that. And once we became more aware of how to handle ourselves, once we knew what we were dealing with, the medicine got better. Now that's not even an issue. You don't even hear about players having the viruses in the NBA. If they do, it's discreet. They take their medicine and they keep on playing. You don't hear nothing about it. We're just not there yet as it pertains to COVID. So we need to give it time, be patient with one another, be patient with the scientists and the doctors and the people who are doing all this, and let them tell us how to save ourselves, because we don't have the information. What we have is skepticism. What we have is our beliefs. What we have is folklore. What we have is what we're reading. But what we don't have is the hours and manpower that they're putting in to making these vaccines, to studying this damn thing. They're busting their behinds trying to make sure that they had this thing for us. The least we could do is trust them enough to take it. And that's the realest thing I can say to you guys. And as far as everything else, hey, if you don't trust, I can't make you trust, because I don't trust. I don't have it in me to really trust anything or anyone, that honestly. But what I do trust is what I see, and what I see is a virus out of control. So I stand with people who want to make their choices. If we were fighting against an entity or a government trying to take away your choices and telling you, yo, you got to take this vaccine and it's something in it, and there's no virus, then we were going to be having different types of conversations over here, right? Because I believe that our freedoms and our choices should be given. I believe that everybody should have their choices to their own body. Your body is your temple, and I take mine very seriously. So in any other scenario, I'm with you. We going to have our choices, and that's going to be it. But because of the single word, asymptomatic, that one word removes that from us. It takes away that fight, because this thing can hide in healthy bodies and then hop into your sick grandma, and that's that, man. You understand? It will hide in your healthy body. So that singular thought leaving any one of our minds could cost us lives, and a lot of people are not considering that at all. And that is a very important part of the game that we're playing here against COVID. So if you want to win this battle, y'all better not forget the rules. And as far as everything else, man, hey, freedom first, body first, my choice. But not everybody's going to choose to live. And unfortunately, again, it hides in healthy bodies. My name is BDO44. Thank y'all for watching. And Kyrie, thank you for speaking to us, man. Thank you for allowing yourself to be heard. I kind of lost myself in the COVID thing, but at the end of the day, what I wanted to do in this video was mention how much I appreciated an athlete coming back and just saying, you know what, basketball does mean something to me. So does what we're doing. I'm not certain which way I want to go in this. I don't want to lose my livelihood, but I also don't want to let people down. Let me figure this out. Give me the time to do it. I heard that. Peace.